if you're already subscribed to my channel, you know who I am. My name is Linda Tina and I live in Italy, Milan. If you are new here and you're just here out of curiosity, welcome. I see you. Consider subscribing. You just may like some of my content. So as you've already read from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about what everybody around the world is talking about right now, the coronavirus. I'm going to be talking from the perspective of someone actually living in a country that has been ranked high up there among the countries that have been affected really badly with the coronavirus. This is also mostly for my friends and family and my subscribers, my loyal subscribers who have been asking me what's going on, what's really happening, are you okay, are you starving, can you go out and find food? I'll be answering those questions, but also to assure you that we are fine as a family, thank God, and also the people surrounding us at the moment are all okay.
Trying to make me, I wanna leave and you're making, yeah. I try to see the one I need to love.
So for people who don't have an idea what the coronavirus is, it's just an influenza-like virus that has been going around the world, that started from China and now it's really taken over Italy. Where do I start? I will start from when it first became real to me. So I'm speaking as someone living in Italy. I remember on the 23rd of February, we had a carnival party for my kids because it's carnival season, February, you know, and this carnival party was cancelled. A day or two before there'd been talk about a virus that's going around, the virus being in Italy, like going around in some cities, and some cities had been closed off. But you know, when something is not so close to you, you don't feel how real it is. It's like when we hear about diseases in other countries or other towns, you don't realize how real it is until it gets really close to you, it gets where you are, or it affects people you know. So there had been this virus in a town in Italy, had been closed off already, and people were quarantined there, and we had heard about it. Then on the 23rd of February, like I mentioned, we had this party and it was cancelled because they thought it wouldn't be a very wise idea to get people together in a closed space and in big numbers. That was the first step where it's like, okay, something is happening here and it's happening real fast. Few weeks forward, today is the 7th, what's the date today? Today is the 17th of March. So 1 week ago we were quarantined. This kept progressing from the 23rd of February. It kept progressing where they told us that kids wouldn't be going to school because they thought it wasn't a good idea for them to be bouncing around the city. But we didn't have a full quarantine by then. It was just in a few towns that were affected more. It was also Fashion Week when everything just blew up. So the kids stopped going to school and we were still working. All other places were still open. And then at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of March, that's when schools were closed and some offices as well. So at first it was for a week. They said that, okay, schools are going to be closed just until the first week of March. Then it was extended to the 15th of March. And that's when we started to realize that it's getting really serious. More cases and more cases were being registered at the hospitals. More people were getting infected. And then that's when the government decided that we need to limit movement. So the northern part, which was more affected, that is Lombardy region, in Italian Lombardia, that is the northern part, which includes Milan, where I live, was then quarantined. That was about 10 or 15 days ago. It was quarantined and you know, we couldn't go to other parts of the city. I think many of you saw the videos online where people were running to the train stations. People who don't live here, they were running to the train stations and getting the fastest means out of the northern region to go back to where they came from, just so that they couldn't be stuck here under the quarantine. And before we knew it, the whole country was under quarantine, because the government realized, and the medical people, and also advice from China, where they have already gone through it, that the best way is to quarantine, the best way is to isolate. So currently, today, the 17th of March, we are in the second week. It's the 8th day of the quarantine. And many of you have been asking me, can we go out to get food? Can we go out to get medical supplies? The answer is yes. So here's how the quarantine is working. We are allowed to go out and buy groceries, food, bakeries, supermarkets are all fully stocked. There is no fight over toilet paper like I've seen in other countries. The supermarkets are fully stocked. You can go there. You need to keep a 1 meter distance between each other when you go to the supermarket or when you go to buy food in any of the, you know, food places. Restaurants, bars, and, you know, all these other places are closed and they are not going to be open. For now, it says until the 3rd of April, but we have no idea how long this may go. You can go out to take your pets to pee. You can take the dogs and the dogs out for a walk or to pee. You're also allowed to go out running, but you always need to keep a 1 meter distance. What we can't do is we can't take the kids out to play. And I know many of you have also been wondering, how are the kids coping? So with the children, many schools are sending homework. They're sending us work to do. In some schools, they're also sending work that's continuing, you know, to let the kids continue with the syllabus. My son is in the 1st year of primary, so there's really nothing much that, you know, they've covered at the moment. So they're just sending work that keeps them, you know, stimulated and also keeps them at least connected to the school part. Otherwise, by the time they go back to school, they'll have forgotten everything they've studied. A lot of online classes are going on. I know many private schools that are doing live classes. I have a friend who's a teacher, and live classes are going on. So I think that's great. That's fantastic. We are coping. We're in the house. We're coping. I work in hotel, and before the quarantine, most reservations were cancelled. The flights are all cancelled because anyway, we are under quarantine, so people are not allowed to come in and out. I do not want to give false information, but I think if you live here and the flight is not yet cancelled, you are a resident of Italy, you can still come back and self-quarantine for 14 days. But anyway, we need to quarantine anyway, so you just have to stay in the house. Is it as serious as it appears in the media? I've also had that question a lot. If I'm to be very honest with you, I don't know. The numbers are there. People are not falling and dying on the streets, okay? We are fine. My family is fine. I don't know anyone who's infected with the virus. And one thing you need to know is that you can't be infected with the virus and show no symptoms at all. You can't be infected with the virus and show a few symptoms like a fever or a tickling in your throat and then be fine. So it's not that everyone who gets the virus is dying and falling off the streets and dying. No, it's not like that, because I know we should be worried, we should be scared, and we should be taking very serious precautions, but that is mostly to control the virus from spreading. But when it comes to the people who are actually infected with the virus, people are surviving through it. Now, we have big numbers in Italy. I believe it's mostly because the Italian demographics mostly is made up of older people, like all over 70, over 60, over 80. And these are people who already have an immune system that's low, and so many of them have been dying from the virus. Not necessarily from the virus, but they've been dying with the virus. I don't know if that makes sense. So they already had complications. When they got the virus, it weakened them even further, and so they died. And that's one of the reasons why Italy is recording very, very, very big numbers of deaths, because most people here are elderly people, and these are the people who are unfortunately the weakest. So you need to actually be careful when you're in touch with your family and your friends who are in the older age gap. But that doesn't mean that the younger people are not getting the virus or they are not dying from the virus, but it's much, much, much less. Also, people who are affected are people who had an immune system that's already compromised. If you're already sick of something, obviously it makes it worse. So what are we doing here to keep ourselves safe? We are washing hands more than we've ever washed our hands ever, you know, because this virus stays on different surfaces. So you need to be careful where you touch, what you touch, who you touch. And we're isolating. We're staying away from everything and everyone, you know. We're going out when we really have to. I was one of the people who was still going out before the actual quarantine. You know, I was taking precautions, but I was still going out because, if I'm to be very honest with you, I am not fully relating with this virus. I feel like I'm in some sort of dream, some sort of movie. So I was still going out, but then educating myself more about the virus and how it's spreading and how much it's spreading, I had to take the precautions even more seriously. So I'll not make this video so long. I'll just say that as someone who's living in a country that has been badly affected by this, I'll just advise people in other countries that haven't yet been really affected. The coronavirus is not a joke. It is spreading. It is spreading, and it's spreading fast. I would like to hear stories of people who have recovered, just to give you some assurance that getting the virus doesn't mean dying, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take it seriously. I've seen that in some other countries, people are still going out and having concerts. We were there just 10 days ago. We were still going on about our lives, and little did we know that we were making the situation worse. So to avoid getting to where Italy is right now, let's try and just follow the precautions. Stay away from crowded places, keep a distance, isolate. It's not the end of the world. I will tell you something. The isolation has taught us a thing or two. I think I'll make a separate video for that. I'll tell you the lessons we've learned out of this quarantine. It has taught us a thing of two, you know, staying at home and being in this closed space. We have learned a lot. So you take care. If you have any other questions about what's going on in Italy and you want to hear from someone who's actually living here, I am more than willing to make several videos updating you about what's going on. And you take care. That's all I can say. You take care. We are fine at the moment, and we are praying to God that this quarantine helps. We haven't yet got real updates about how the quarantine is helping, but I guess we need more time. It's only been 1 week. So I will give you an update after week 2 and week 3, and when we are out of the quarantine, life after the quarantine. I can't wait for that. But for now, this is it, and have a lovely day. You take care. Wash hands, isolate. Bye-bye.